So, there's you. One. Okay. Good. Okay. Okay.
Good. All right. How's it going, guys? So today I want to talk to everyone about being cruel, and how a lot of people, would think that being cruel is something that's like really bad. And in fact, I mean, obviously being cruel in some sense is, but it is actually important that we learn how to understand our own cruelty and our own, basically our own inner monster. That's basically my topic today, is to find and understand our inner monster. So we're going to talk about three different things. The first is being a victim. Second is taming our monster, our inner monster. And the third is standing up for ourselves. So the first thing I want to talk about is kind of the nice guy, nice girl paradox. I mean, you hear, what is it, DMX's song, like, why do good girls like bad guys, because bad guys tell mad lies, that thing. And, there's more truth to it than you think. That's really kind of the way it is. And when we're toddlers, we're taught, or we teach our toddlers to be nice, to be polite, to say please, say thank you. We teach them to be as agreeable as possible. I mean, that's what you want to see in a toddler. No one likes to see a little toddler that's throwing stuff, hitting people, or swearing or doing anything like that. You want a nice little kid who just is quiet, basically. And that kind of goes throughout society, and that's kind of what we were taught. And that's the sort of people that we want to be around, is people who are nice. The philosopher Jordan Peterson states that very, very agreeable people are accustomed to living for others, and that they put other people before themselves. And that sounds like a pretty good thing, right? That you want to put someone else before you. However, when you think about it and say work, at school, in our interpersonal relationships, I mean, really, especially at work, that putting everyone before yourself really isn't that good of an idea. You can think about it in a trading game. Say I have something, or I'm selling a car. I want to sell my car to somebody, and if I'm a super agreeable person, then that means I'm going to put kind of them before me. And I know, like me myself, I'm fairly agreeable, and that's usually how it is. Like I don't go try to get the best deal and try to screw somebody. I try to find a middle ground, and really that's not the best way to make a deal. The best way to make a deal is where each person feels like they're kind of got the short end of the stick. That's how we know that a good deal was made. So being really agreeable really isn't the best thing for us, which leads me to my second point, and that is taming our inner monster. And what does that really mean, is taming your inner monster? Well, again, the philosopher Nietzsche said that battle not with your inner monster, lest you become a monster. And if you gaze into the abyss, then the abyss also gazes into you. And that's kind of hard to wrap your mind around, except when you think about people with like PTSD, people who went in the military, or are out on the front lines. A lot of the PTSD, studies have found that a lot of the PTSD comes from people getting into situations where they weren't prepared, or to where they're not prepared for, like doing a certain thing where you're like, man, I never would have thought that I would be able to do something horrific, or I never would have thought that I'd be able to shoot somebody. And if you're not prepared for that, if you don't really understand your inner self, then you're terrified by it. And that's what Nietzsche's saying is, when you stare into the abyss, that it stares back into you. When you look at the things that you're really capable of, then, and you're not ready for it, then it comes back to haunt you. And so, we need to be careful not to fall prey to that, because then you can turn into, a really horrible person and like those sorts of things. However, it's key that we understand that. And that brings me to my third point, and that's standing up for yourself. So once we understand our inner monster, we understand what we're capable of, we can then stand up for ourselves. Martial arts teaches this really well. Again, studies have shown that people who take martial arts, they're easier to stand up, or they find it easier to stand up to bullies. They find it easier to walk around more confident. And you can kind of see that, in people when they really understand, martial arts, or they have they understand their inner monster. They understand that they're a weapon and they're capable of doing bad things. A Pew study states that advancement in the workplace, or the best way to get advancement in the workplace is to fight for yourself. And that's really what all this is, that's really what I'm talking about with all this, is that we need to fight for ourselves. So like in the workplace, if you want to go for like a raise, if you want to talk to your boss and go for a raise, you're not going to be like, hey, I think, I kind of deserve a raise. You want to go in confident and say, hey, these are the things that I'm doing, and these are the things that make me valuable to our company. And if you're not confident in yourself, then you're not going to go in and do that. If your boss doesn't see confidence in you, then why does he think you, or why should you deserve a raise if you're not even confident in yourself? And that's what we really need to understand, is our inner monster, so we know that there's nothing out there that can scare us, and that will then make us more confident in ourselves and allow us to be, allow us to find success in our lives. So the last thing here is, our conclusion about, everything we talked about, and that was, that is, being cruel isn't morally superior. However, we don't want to be a victim. Taming our inner monster is necessary so that we can understand ourselves better, and then through that understanding, we can stand up for ourselves. And through this, we can be more successful. And that's kind of my spill for today. So thank you.
And don't forget me.